Hi, this is Craig Ingstrom. I'm an educator. I teach business communication, organizational communication, public speaking, and so forth at the college level. Today's webcast is a video that's going to teach you how to calculate or the payment that you would anticipate on student loans. I'm developing it as a way to teach my students. I threw out a challenge to them to calculate a loan amount based on some information I gave them, because over the past few years in the media and probably in everyday discourse, people have been talking about the value of college and the cost and the student loan debt accumulation. So as this infographic, which I got on quickenloans.com, demonstrates that they're using data from 2012. Student loans, as far as the amount that's been borrowed, has exceeded $1 trillion, and 94% of students today are taking out student loans, which means that my students likely have student loans. And I think it's an ethical obligation for educators, regardless of their subject matter and the institution, to make sure that students have financial literacy on a variety of levels. So I've taken it upon myself to do this in my courses. So that's why I threw out the challenge to students, and then I'm producing this video to explain how they can get to the answer. In any case, the reason that there are so many loans out there is because the cost of education has obviously been increasing as well. And this is partly due to the decrease in public funding for colleges, for both private and public schools. There's a variety of other factors, including the cost of utilities, increasing the cost of building of new infrastructure, the cost of healthcare expenses for employees at all levels of the institution, the cost of property insurance, and so on and so forth. So a lot of things are driving up the cost of tuition. Now, so the two questions that I posted them, I actually posted to Tumblr. I gave an easier version of the question and a slightly more challenging version of the question. I've already plugged these into Excel, so let's go there. The first question, the easier one, was assume that a student graduates with $27,000 in student loan debt and pays 5.65% interest for 20 years. How much will he or she end up paying back over the life of the loan? There are actually two ways that you can get to the answer. One is using Excel and one is going to an online calculator. Let's go ahead and start with Excel. I think it's just faster and easier, and I'm also going to post the Excel spreadsheet so you can have this tool at hand to plug in your own amounts for your own loans. So you just need a column here to help keep the information organized. All the information is there. Okay, so what's the loan amount at graduation? Well, it's $27,000. The interest rate we know is 5.65%. The number of payments, we're just going to take the 20 years, and there's 12 months in a year, so 240, and that's pretty easy. So now what we need to do is calculate the monthly payment and then simply multiply that by the 240 to get the total amount of the life of the loan. So the monthly payment, there's two ways you can get to the simple equation that's going to allow you to calculate it. So you can first go to the formula bar here, go to financial, and locate payment. As you can see here, click on that, and this is going to give you some boxes, and for rate you would just put 5.65. You would then divide that by 12, as you'll see in a second. The other way is just to type in the formula, which is equals PMT, and you're going to put in your parenthesis there, and once you do that, it actually tells you what you should put in. So rate, comma, NPR, which is number of periods, comma, present value, and so on. So what is the rate? Well, it's 5.65. Now, this is the only tricky part. You need to remember to do this. You need to divide by 12 that number. Why? Because that's an annual rate and you're actually accumulating interest on a monthly basis. You're not paying 5.65% interest per month. If you were, it would be an ungodly amount that you would pay back. Put in that comma, it'll actually tell you, okay, now you need the number of periods, that's 240. And now the, as you can see, the present value, which is 27,000. And lo and behold, you're going to pay back $188 per month, which is actually not too bad if you have a job that pays pretty well. That's actually probably less than you would pay per month for a car or car insurance even in some places. So anyway, so this is gives us the payment amount, and that's, I think, probably the most valuable piece of information. But okay, what are you going to pay, assuming that you're not making extra payments or anything like that, over the life of the loan, so you can get a total real cost of the loan? It's simple now. You're just going to create a simple sum of that. Oops, sorry, equal sum. and you're going to multiply that by 240, and you're ultimately going to pay 45,125 back. So you'll borrow 27 and pay that back. So that's actually quite a bit of interest that you pay over the life of the loan. Now you can also do all of this very simply by finding an online calculator. So you just go to Bing or Google, type in student loan payment calculator or some combination thereof. That'll get you a calculator. I'm just going to choose the Bankrate one. This is actually a really cool website because it's got a variety of calculators for you: auto, credit, investments, so you can calculate things if you're in the market for building a retirement account and so on. We're going to dial down to college calculators. Let's type in loan calculator. We're going to just plug in the loan amount, which is $27,000. We're going to put in the loan term, which is 20 years, and that's going to change it automatically to 240 months. The interest rate is 5.65%. The loan start date, let's assume you graduated in May, you'll probably start paying it back in December because there is some kind of deferment period, and we're going to hit calculate, and lo and behold, it's $188.02 is your monthly payment. Then you would just multiply that by 240 and voila. So that sort of shows you how to calculate that one. Now the slightly more challenging question, which is a little bit more realistic probably, is what if you have subsidized and unsubsidized loans? Now a subsidized loan is one in which the interest is being paid while you're in school or under some kind of deferment like military or Peace Corps or something like that that's honored by the government. The interest is being paid by taxpayers essentially. So another more likely scenario is that you also have loans from at various interest rates. The easiest way to do this, it's not exact, but just so if, in case, let's say you have one for 5.65, one for 6.8, one for 9, one for 2. Just add those all up, divide by 4 since I gave 4 numbers, or divide by 3 if you have 3 different rates, and that'll give you a sort of average. And it's not going to be perfect, but it'll give you a good sense of what the payment will be. Okay, so in this case though, we have a situation where there's some subsidized and some unsubsidized. Now the subsidized part's easy because if you get $6,000 and in 4 years, you're just going to take 6,000 times 4, which is 24,000. Now the hard part is the actual accumulation of the unsubsidized, because in this case you're going to borrow 2,000 one year, that's going to start accumulating interest. You're going to borrow 2,000 the next year, so you're going to pay 2,000 plus interest plus another 2,000, and that's going to accumulate interest at that total value, and so on and so forth. So it's the principle of accumulated interest. So what you need to do here is do what's called a future value of an annuity due. It's an annuity due because you actually start payments on the first period. Anyway, these are a lot of things that you probably don't really need to care about. So the quickest way to do this is you're going to take the $2,000 and you're going to need to find the future value annuity due factor. And the best way to find that is just go to online, and you're going to type into Bing future value annuity due factor table, click on the one that comes up, and you're going to look at number of periods, which is 4 years. Unfortunately, they don't have 5.65, so I'm just going to choose 6%, and it's 4.63709. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to plug in 4.63709, and that's just so I don't lose that. So so we're going to hit equals sum 2,000 times 4.63709. There you go. And you're going to end up paying 9,274. So we're going to sum those two together. And that's going to be, so at graduation you'll owe approximately 33,274. Okay, so who cares if you have a unsubsidized or whatever, just add some extra in there. But keep in mind at 2,000, 5.654 years, you had almost $2,000 in growth on that. Well, $1,200 in growth on that, in interest. So I mean, you really need to anticipate high. But anyway, you graduate with a loan amount of 33,274. You're going to start paying back the interest at 0.565 because we're assuming that it's going to stay the same. What's the number of payments? Well, it's 240 again, and the monthly payment amount this time following the same formula, and I'm actually just going to copy that and paste it here, and you'll see it automatically converts all of that for us, and it's 231.72. So the real cost for your education in this case, let's just do that. I could have just taken both of these, to be honest, and plugged it in, and it's going to be 55,612. So that's quite a bit. Now there's a variety of other things you can do with this. I think this is helpful to think about the real cost of everything you're paying for while in school, because if you have, let's say, an iPhone, and let's just assume that you got the iPhone for free, but you're paying approximately $60 a month for to be able to use it. $60 times 12 is $720 times 4. You're ultimately paying $2,880 over 4 years while you're in school. Now that could have been money that you didn't borrow, or it could be money that could have gone to something else, and so on. So the reality is, though, if you really want to know the real cost of that, because if you're taking out loans and that 2,880 really adds up, right? So you need to borrow that money, then you just plug in 2,880. Remember, you're paying 5.65% interest, 240 months you're going to be paying on that. Your monthly payment will be $20, assuming, so you're kind of borrowing the money on credit in order to have your phone. The total real cost of using the cell phone, the iPhone, while you're in school will be $4,813, far larger than that 2,880. Anyway, so of course the reality is you might need a phone, and this isn't to try to tell you not to have those types of things, but to really think about the cost of what you're paying. Little things do add up. If you spend even just $20 a week on eating out, well, 20 times 4 is $80 a month, and I mean that's more than you're paying on the cell phone. Let's say you pay approximately $3,000 a year in eating out, then you're going to end up paying $5,000 for those meals. So I don't know, it just kind of keeps things in perspective for you. I hope this has been helpful. I will upload this Excel spreadsheet so you can plug in the numbers yourself and play around with it. Anyway, thanks for listening, and thanks for taking the challenge if you did. Take care now.